Welcome back to another video for the Linux series. So this video is going to be about Linux backup and file compression concepts. And what I'm going to do first is use tar to backup and compress some files. Now, uh, the tar, the tape archive command, is used in Linux typically to create, compress, and extract archive files, right? And the archive files can be used for a few different things, like the backup of the server user data, the archiving of documents for preservation, and the distribution of software in a compressed format. So what I'll start off with, I'll use the tar command to archive and compress these files, as I mentioned. So let's actually head over to, this can get out of my way. Let's see, books. All right, perfect. So now we're in books. Let's take a look at what's going on in here. All right, these permissions, right? So I'm taking a look at also some of the file sizes that are displayed in byte unit. If you add them up, it may be a particular, maybe a set amount, maybe like 5.7 megabytes or something like that. Nonetheless, let's change another to the home directory. So I'm going to use now a tar command. So let's do tar cf book backup. All right, not tar again. Put that in books. All right, perfect. So what I did was I used the tar to create archive files, and the -c parameter creates an archive file, and the F is used to specify the file name for the archive file. So in this case, it's going to be book_backup.tar. So let's actually confirm this in here, right? And we can see that the book underscore backup tar archive file is now created. The file size should not have changed, even though an archive was created. Now the tar command does not compress files by default. So now what I'm going to do is compress and archive the books directory with this new tar command here. So let's do C Z B F book backup tar.gz, right? I'm gonna make sure it's in books. All right. Now we see the output there. Then let's double check here with the list. All right. All right, perfect. And we can also see that the file size for the book underscore backup RGZ, that archive file is now compressed, right? And the Z parameter, it created a new tar file using the gzip compression. And V for Victor is used to print information for the top operation on this terminal right here, right? So let's do another tar command. Let's see, F, book, backup, Z. All right, and then let's double check here. All right, and the tar command, right? So it was used with the X option this time, which is going to extract the archive file. Now, if you notice from the last command I used, the output of the tar command showed the location of the files that have been restored. So now I just want to make sure I clear my screen up for what I'm going to do next. I like a nice clean screen. What I'm going to do now is use the uppercase D, lowercase d command to back up an entire disk, right? So the main purpose of the DD command in Linux is to convert and copy files, right? Now in Linux, device drivers for disk drives, such as hard drives, are in the file system, just like other files. Now the DD command can also be used to back up an entire disk because it can read and write from these files, right? So what I'm going to do first is back up an entire disk using the DD command. So let's start with, yeah, that's not what I wanted. Let's see. Let's start with, let's see. Let's be okay. All right. So what this does is it lists information about all the block devices available. So if you notice, right, we'll see something here for SDA, right? I can back up this disk using the DD command, and the tar command doesn't recognize values that cannot be used to, unfortunately, back up disk. So what I'll do instead is I'll use the DD command here. If Okay. Of course. Good. Now, while this is loading, I'm assuming that's what it's doing. The DD commands, it has a couple different options, right? You have the IF, which is the input file, the OF, which is the output file. Then you also have the BS, which is the block size, I believe, which is how much data it should read at a time. Now, restoring a backup is reversing the input file and output file. So you'll see pretty much how I have it set up here for sudo dd if equals, cd-rom IMG, things of that nature, right? And looks like it's going to take, let's see, I'll ignore it. Okay, all right, perfect. So it's finally finished out. So let's go ahead and confirm. All right, so as we can see here, right, if we notice the size of the output file, right, I already ignored the error message because we have a lot of data here now. To reduce the size, the file can be compressed, but it is a separate command using dd than what I used before. So the output file has to be piped into a gzip command. So to work with this, I'm going to use dd. Okay, yeah, we'll do the pipe. I mentioned gzip. No space left on device. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. I still wanted to um, showcase how it's done. I'm still also going to verify. That's pretty much going to show the same thing, but that's typically how you would compress it on my last command. And you would definitely notice the size difference of the compressed file. It should be at, yep, there it is actually. Because before, as you can see, it was 4096. Now, well, actually, that's not it. Okay, here it is. It wasn't at 0 before, right? So it's now at 0. And also want to note that there's some errors that may be reported as well. But I can typically use some other things to ignore these errors. I can conv no error or sync, right? Because sometimes you may want to ensure a perfect bit by bit copy, but sometimes it can slow down the process because it checks all rights before writing the file. But nonetheless, this is the end of the video. Just for a brief recap, I showcased Linux backup and file compression concepts, right? So I used tar to back up the compressed files, and I used the dd command to back up an entire disk. In the meantime, until the next video for the Linux series, stay curious, stay secure.